What's up, people of the internet? As you already know, that's assuming you're not living under a rock, the US Department of Justice sued Apple last month. Why? Well, long story short, because the iPhone is maintaining an illegal monopoly in America. Okay, but how does this affect us non-Americans? To answer that question, let's take a trip 5 years into the past when the EU sued Apple. Now, before we move on, I encourage you to like and subscribe and smash the bell icon. It helps us make interesting content for y'all to view. So this whole Apple antitrust drama started about 5 years ago when Spotify complained to the EU regarding Apple's tight restrictions on music streaming apps that compete with Apple Music directly. The EU, of course, acted sharply, suing Apple for anti-competitive behavior. But fast forward to the 4th of March 2024, the lawsuit finally concluded with Apple receiving a $2 billion fine for abusive App Store rules and was mandated to make certain changes to iOS, like for example, allowing alternate app stores. Now, although Apple is currently appealing the decision, they, begrudgingly complied, and that is evidenced in the new iOS 17.4.1 updates. If you read the update note, it says this update provides new options for app marketplaces, web browsers, and payments for residents of the European Union. As a result of this, early this month, Apple finally allowed retro game emulators on the App Store globally. They had no choice but to do it, just to keep you and I in the App Store. And if you think it's for security reasons, then you have no idea how many cloned apps exist in the App Store, despite Apple's strict rules. So in the same vein, I know for a fact that based on the final ruling of the current DOJ versus Apple lawsuits, it could potentially affect the way we use our iPhones, for better or for worse. To get an idea of how this really affects every iPhone user, let's take a deeper dive into the 5 main issues the DOJ has with Apple. The first one is Apple blocking super apps on iOS. What are super apps? According to Wikipedia, a super app is a mobile or web application that can provide multiple services, including payments, instant messaging services, effectively.
One eternity later.
TLDR, a super app is an app that contains other mini apps. I think of it as a platform within a platform. And Apple isn't definitely a huge fan of super apps. The best example of this is WeChat in China. It combines instant messaging, social media, mobile banking, phone calls, and many more in just one app. So imagine a WeChat exists in the US and it fulfills all your mobile needs since it's compatible with every OS in existence. You have the freedom to choose or switch to any device you want, thereby creating room for true competition and innovation. It's technically the same reason why the number 2 beef the DOJ has with Apple, which is cloud gaming, isn't a thing on iOS or the App Store. It's not like it's banned, it's just that the rules Apple introduced in 2020 when cloud gaming started becoming super popular severely cut off its presence on the App Store. Instead of approving a bunch of games in one singular app, Apple required each game to be approved individually. As of today, Apple has reversed course on its rules and now approves a single app with the ability to stream multiple games. But the DOJ claims that none of this exists in the App Store because, quotes, Apple wielded its power over distribution to effectively prevent developers from offering cloud gaming services on the iPhone. So the third one is very controversial. It's iMessage. This doesn't need that much introduction. All you need to know is blue versus green bubbles and you get the idea. Most non-Americans will be like, WhatsApp, Telegram, Signal exists, but to the average American, it just goes past them. iMessage for life, man. In Apple's defense, they've announced they will support RCS later this year, which will make cross-platform messaging a lot better. But knowing Apple, its implementation may be not really what you expect. Remember Beeper?
It started to become clear that Beeper Mini was not working anymore. People couldn't send messages. The ongoing assumption was that Apple had found a way to shut it down. The Beeper team starts furiously trying to fix it. On Saturday, I get a note from Apple saying, finally, we have something to say. And basically what Apple did was confirm that they took steps to shut down Beeper Mini and kind of without saying in exactly those words said they intend to keep doing so.
That should give you an idea how important iMessage is to Apple. We will just wait and see. The final two wrongdoings the DOJ is accusing Apple of is that Apple limits how third-party smartwatches work on the iPhone and also limits third-party digital wallets. That plus other minor issues cited in the lawsuit like Apple CarPlay being anti-competitive and Apple suppressing web apps. You get the idea. In summary, the DJ is basically accusing Apple of stifling competition while locking users into their ecosystem, refusing to offer its users the best experience possible, hardware or software. From my personal experience, this is very true, and I'm not even in the US. What if the DOJ does get its way at the end of this lawsuit? Could it potentially make the iPhone experience worse? Will the iPhone become less secure for us users? This has been Apple's #1 reason for justifying user lock-in, and it's something I've personally been thinking about since the start of this lawsuit, or any of the lawsuits involving Apple. I know it would take many years before it is resolved anyway, so we can only wait and see. But I believe Apple can strike the perfect balance between security and some acceptable level of openness, and that is what I think DOJ is trying to achieve, or is pushing Apple to do. And who benefits from this? I mean, it's us, the customers. Even if many iPhone users aren't interested in Android and are okay with the way the iPhone currently is, I don't think there's anything wrong in being able to text seamlessly or have useful new features that are actually innovative. I'm looking at you, action button. Instead, what we get each year is a little sprinkle of magic dust to convince us to spend more money buying new iPhones with supposedly new features we rarely use, or one that Android has had for years. Is that the best Apple can do? Of course not. They invented the slab smartphone as we know it today. They gave us an easy-to-use, slick interface, iOS, that has largely remained the same since its inception. They arguably still have the best video camera on any smartphone I have ever seen till date. Facts. Imagine for a moment if iOS lock-in didn't exist, if the iPhone truly competes and innovates on a level playing field, and if the hardware design actually changed in a meaningful and exciting way every few years. Would you want to go anywhere else?